I believe that Apple Music in only a few years will be better than Spotify. I know nobody's gonna agree with me, but let me explain and I might change your mind. If we look at the trajectory year over year on what Apple has achieved with Apple Music, we can see that they're a growing platform. Now, one thing that completely hindered the ability for Apple Music to reach any sort of momentum when they were first starting out was the fact that Spotify started much earlier. They truly were the first ones in this category of offering a monthly subscription for pretty much every single song in the world. So when Apple came late to the party, it was obvious that Spotify was going to have most of the market share at that point. But it's been many years already since Apple Music decided to become what it is now and follow Spotify's model. And we've seen that year after year, they've grown and they've been growing. Now, I completely agree that Spotify on a global scale will always be bigger than Apple Music. But that's just because Spotify offers a free version instead of just a premium one like Apple Music. And obviously to the entire world, paying a monthly subscription to listen to music isn't something that everybody can do. It's exactly the same situation as the iPhone v Android situation. It's true that iOS, iPhones, and Apple are bigger and are more widely used in first world countries. But if we look at the global scale of things, Android, Samsung, and every other Android brand out there are way more used than Apple. So Spotify's free version will always be used more than Apple Music's subscribed users, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be bigger. So let's look at the fact that Apple Music is made by Apple, the biggest, most valuable company in the world. That's something that comes with a lot of reputation, especially since Apple is known for its high quality of pretty much everything they do. On the other hand, Spotify isn't as big and doesn't have that general backing. Spotify is a music streaming company, while Apple, as we all know, does everything else and then has that on top of it. Now, Spotify across the last few years have had a lot of controversies, whether that be with licensing, whether it be with paying their artists a good amount, or whether it just be with sound quality or other logistical reasons. But Spotify have always been in one scandal, rumor, or issue than another. On the other hand, Apple Music really hasn't. So I believe that if it comes down to artists, for example, there could come a time when artists would prefer for their music to be on Apple Music instead of Spotify. And there could also come a situation one day where Spotify themselves shoot themselves in the foot because of something they ended up doing, which causes all of its subscribers to stop paying the service, let's say in support to the artists, or because what they did just doesn't go with their values and what the audience and subscribers would like. Although Apple Music has had some controversies, the ones they've had haven't been anywhere near as big as Spotify's ones have. Apple Music is currently winning already in the music side of things because Apple Music's quality is much better than Spotify's, and that's something that's been proven time and time again. So for a music streaming service to not even have the highest quality of music already says a lot of things. And with Spotify's UI being really hard to use and them sort of stemming away from their only music listening platform to go ahead and reach bigger audiences with podcasts and things like that, there could come a time where they have so much on the table and so many things going in different ways that they just lose customers day by day. And I think Apple Music's biggest advantage is the fact that they're made by Apple. If Apple decides to integrate Apple Music in different ways across their devices, or they create brand new features like AirDrop or something that can only be done on Apple devices, I believe that Apple Music could go really far. At the end of the day, in the US at least, iPhones and Apple are the number ones. So if you give all of the iPhone users in the US features that can only be gotten with an iPhone, then that's something that'd be really hard to pass up on. Or let's say Apple starts rolling out a new deal where if you buy the newest iPhone, you get 1 year off of Apple Music. That's something that a lot of people would like. At least I myself would. I save on 1 year's worth of Spotify and I get to listen to the same music at a higher quality and for free. So it seems like a really good deal, and in my opinion, that's something that would work. Or what if, to try to appeal to the larger audience, they make Apple Music an app like any other that can be downloaded from anywhere. But let's say that if you own an iPhone, you get the first year off free, and then every year after that, let's say the family plan is around $7 a month. I'm sure that everybody from Spotify paying $14, $15, or $16 a month for the family plan would love to half that amount and go over to Apple Music. And that's, let's say, with the first year free. Now, while obviously they'd be cutting their profits, if you're earning new customers through doing so, you're still getting a lot more profit. So from my point of view, that doesn't really seem like a bad idea. So while I'm not exactly trying to tell Apple everything that they should do and saying that I'm a know-it-all or none of that, I'm just giving ideas on how I do believe that Apple could structure in different deals into their phones and Apple Music to get a lot more of their customers liking the product, or at least giving it a try. Either way, Apple as a company isn't going anywhere. I mean, they're top #1 for a reason, and Apple Music itself has been growing a lot year over year. So it really wouldn't surprise me if in a few years we see Apple Music being the #1. Until then though, we're just gonna have to wait and see how Apple Music ends up developing their app and see what sort of features they end up adding. If you're new to the channel and haven't seen any of my other videos, then I do encourage you to go ahead and try to do so. I have so many more videos on Apple, iOS, the Kindle, hot takes and opinions. And if you like any of them, then consider subscribing because it really help out a lot. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so your subscription would really help out. What do you think about Apple Music? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you believe at all in what I said, or do you just think I'm crazy and none of what I said makes sense? Whatever it is, just leave it down in the comments and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. And well, since there's nothing left to be said, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.